So 4 weeks ago, I was explaining to Jay about the difference between dogs and tomatoes, which is something I put way too much thought into. And he said I should talk about it here. And I thought, you know, every time I talk to people about dogs and tomatoes, they run away. So having a captive audience, it's pretty appealing, to be honest. So I said I'd do it. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't know what this PechaKucha stuff is or what the vibes are really like here. So I just thought it was like a little bit bold for an opener. But now the problem is I have 2.5 weeks to prepare and I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and I'm just seriously panicking about it. So I do what I always do when I panic. I ask my girlfriend what I should do, and her answer was, Kevin, you know so many things. You should just talk about all the things you know. And I was like, well, that's really broad and like not helpful at all, but that makes me sound super smart. I'm definitely including that in my presentation. But then she said, yeah, you could do one slide for everything that you know. And I was like, that statement makes your other statement a lot less impressive. So now I'm really panicking because my beautiful girlfriend was no help at all, and time's still ticking. So my decision basically was like, I need to just talk about something I am not passionate about at all, like zero passion, so that when it doesn't go well, I don't have to feel bad about myself. So I decided that I was going to go out into the world and become an investigative journalist and find my story out there. So hopped in my car, started driving around, and lo and behold, I see this giant line forming outside this building that I thought was abandoned. And I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? So I talked to the people in line, and apparently this is some synthesizer storefront, and they're releasing this like really rare thing called the QMMG, and I don't know what any of that really means, but that's the QMMG. And if you're curious what it sounds like, I saw this comment on Instagram saying it sounds like a warm blanket toasting the eardrums with slime kisses. So I'm sure that clears things up. So yeah, I have my story, and all I got to do is get interesting stuff out of it and talk about it here and get all this over with. So I got in line and started interviewing people. This is Quint, aka Scripta, who got a he drove in from Greensboro to get a QMMG. There's like a hole over there in a synth that goes in and completes a set or something. There's another guy named John who didn't get a QMMG, but he had a friend in California who really wanted him, and he paid him $300 to stand in line and buy one for him. So that was pretty sick. So at this point, I checked my notes. I'm like, okay, what do I have? I got Quint, lives in Greensboro, likes playing the synthesizer. I got John. He's got a friend who really likes playing the synthesizer. And so this is when I realized that investigative journalism is a lot more than just like talking to people and hoping something interesting is going to come out of thin air. So yeah, I took the L. I walked out of there and just said I had no idea what I'm going to talk about for PechaKucha. And so I started walking back to my car, and I heard somebody calling after me. And it was Marty, another guy I'd met in line, and he said that he invited me to go downtown to watch a Steel Drums math jazz band with him. And so I said, okay, let's see where this goes. And I met him downtown, and the thing I noticed about Marty was that he was like the biggest extrovert I've ever met in my entire life. Like he knew everybody somehow. I was kind of expecting to see him here just for some reason. I don't even know why, but so I said, I know what the story is. Marty's going to teach me to overcome my social anxiety. So I said, Marty, how do you do, like I see you talk to all these people and not having a panic attack. What's going on with that? And he said that he did long form improv in LA for 5 years, and after that he was totally immune. So, okay, maybe the social anxiety story is going to wait for next time because I got 2 weeks and not 5 years. So, yeah, now I'm really panicking. I've no idea what I'm going to do, but then I decided it's time to just man up and like talk about something that I actually care about. And maybe if I make it so boring that everybody falls asleep by the fifth slide, then nobody will even be conscious to hate my presentation. So I started writing about John von Neumann and the history behind his how he introduced game theory and his foundational work called oh no, the slide's not up. I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's theory of games and economic behavior and all the impacts of that. But then I was like, I don't know, I just felt kind of douchey, I guess. Like, I didn't want people to think I was a science hipster, like all those people that were really into Nikola Tesla like 15 years ago before he was big. I don't even know if that joke makes sense to anybody, but so then, so Nikola Tesla talks about that. Okay, morning routine. Yeah, I started making a presentation about my morning routine, and I actually got really excited about that one, but then the doubts came back again, and it was like, wow, you can do a morning routine, we're all impressed, good for you. And I was like, you know what? Really annoyingly rude voices in my head, you're making good points, I can't do this topic. So I ditched that topic, and then I said, okay, yesterday I actually had my greatest idea ever, which is I'm gonna talk about my favorite pictures from my recent rewatch of The Sopranos, and that's Tony eating salsa straight out of the jar with a spoon like an absolute maniac. But by this point, I had already written this like super dumb, sappy ending to it, so I don't have time for this. And that goes kind of like, it always blows my mind the lengths I'll go to avoid the discomfort of just being disliked. Like, I know this sounds kind of jokey, but I was literally living in absolute terror leading up to this, and it was all super real stuff. And just seeing all these beautiful presenters and, them fully giving themselves with their images, their words, and their emotions. It just reminds me that life is about more than just avoiding discomfort after discomfort until you die. And really it's about, letting yourself go down all the wrong roads so you know what the right ones even look like, creating real experiences with other people, and ultimately about just showing up and seeing what happens.